What's difficult in accepting the flaws of the University of Phoenix is, everybody wants to be excited about the degree that they've earned. Everyone wants to know that the degree that they earned is valid. It's respected by the people in their industry. And then you graduate and you find out it's not necessarily respected. All right, folks, we are not going to have any live stream this week due to the storm coming here in Tampa. All right, we're going to take a look at a TikTok video that I have compiled together called College Scams. I tried to do this live this evening, and twice the internet got interrupted. So sorry, I cannot do this as a live stream tonight. The weather is just slowly building up. All right, so we're gonna do it this way, but the good thing is I get my kitty here. So let's take a look at some college scams. And really quickly, I don't think all the TikToks on here are college scams, and I will talk about that as they come up. Thanks so much for being here.
$1,000 in debt. I want to retire in 8 years, and I have no retirement savings.
Okay, so she is $100,000 in debt. She wants to retire in 8 years. She has no retirement savings. All right.
And I'm living in Delulu land, and I'm okay with that.
I don't know if she really means she's okay with that. I think she's convincing herself she's okay with that. I don't know anyone short of being given a massive inheritance and she says she's single. Okay. She does say that later on. She says she's single, but I'm thinking to myself, if you allow yourself to remain in Delulu land, I think that's what she calls it. If you allow yourself to remain in Delulu land because you don't want to acknowledge your debt, then you're probably going to stay there for a long time. And even more so, you're going to possibly make your situation worse due to the fact that you refuse to learn from what you did wrong. It's one thing to say, okay, these are the steps I did wrong, but it's another thing to take ownership of it and to determine that you're going to change your situation, where you're determined that you're not going to take those missteps again. I'm not sure she's at that point. If she is able to retire in 7 years with $100,000 in student loan debt and no retirement savings, then she really needs to write a book on how she did it.
No one's going to burst my bubble.
No one's saying we're going to burst your bubble. Okay. People have the right to view money the way they wish. I'm the type that to become debt free, I had to really, really be honest with myself as to what my mistakes were. I could not afford to live in Delulu land.
This person is asking me what my $100,000 in debt is comprised of. It is comprised of about $14,000 of credit card debt, and the rest of that is student loan debt, and I only have a bachelor's degree.
Wow, $100,000, $85,000 of it is student loan for a bachelor's degree.
And that is because I went to University of Phoenix before my frontal lobe developed, when I was my most insecure self, didn't know anything about loans, let alone student loans.
She and I both went to the University of Phoenix. She and I both ran up an $85,000 degree. Difference is at least mine was for a master's. She was getting hers for a bachelor's. Most private schools and for-profit schools, of course, University of Phoenix, as you know, is a for-profit school. Most of those schools, they charge ridiculous amounts for bachelor and master degrees. Don't even talk about the doctorate degrees, but they charge ridiculous amounts.
Pell Grants, I thought that was free money. I was completely uninformed and believed everything that University of Phoenix was selling me. This is in the early 2000s, like 2007.
She and I basically went to the University of Phoenix almost at the same time. I was at the University of Phoenix around 2004, 2005. So she would have been like the graduating class a year or two after I graduated. What's difficult in accepting the flaws of the University of Phoenix is, everybody wants to be excited about the degree that they've earned. Everyone wants to know that the degree that they earned is valid. It's respected by the people in their industry. And then you graduate and you find out it's not necessarily respected.
When they were promising everybody that they placed them with jobs and all of that grandeur.
which is part of the reason University of Phoenix and other fly-by-night and for-profit schools, okay, got sued, because they were basically telling graduates, look, you come pay $80,000 for a bachelor's, you're a shoo-in for a job. Never mind, they don't tell you that the school is not accepted by the industry that they're trying to market. You want to be a nurse, and then you graduate from the school. Meanwhile, you've never even so much as stepped into a real lab.
And I thought that sounded great. I'll go to school. They're going to get me a job. I mean, they're going to get me an interview. Obviously, I have to interview. They were going to be the hookup, the plug, if you will. I was like, great. That sounds awesome. Sign me up. So I did my 4 years there.
At $85,000 for a bachelor's.
After my divorce, when I actually needed to use this degree, I got turned down for every job that I should have been a shoo-in for based on my degree. Got tons of feedback that I asked for from hiring people, or the people that I was in communication with at the places I was trying to get interviews at. All of them were like, you don't qualify, we don't take this degree seriously, basically, and it means nothing to us. It's essentially what they told me. So I was like...
And this happened everywhere, not just with for-profit schools, but online schools. So now you take something like the University of Phoenix that is both for-profit and both online, okay? And they're telling all these people, pay this absurd amount to get a degree. But part of the problem, as I see it, having been a University of Phoenix graduate in 2004 myself, is that when I was introduced to the University of Phoenix, it was through my employer. University of Phoenix had a lot of access to different employers, of course, and they were busy promoting, okay, not just the bachelor's, but the graduate, the MBAs, things like that, okay? Graduate degrees were also very popular. But a lot of the trust that I think a lot of University of Phoenix students and students who were scammed by other schools, a lot of that trust that we put into it, myself included, is they had tables set up at our workplace. Tables. Now, I work for a company, and I won't say what company that was, okay, in the early 2000s, okay, so 24 years ago. I worked for a company, and I walked in during lunch, and there was a huge setup with UAP, University of Phoenix, and a few other schools. I'm sure Corinthian College was in there somewhere, and probably the Art Institute, all of them considered defunct and out of business now, okay, but part of the trust that a lot of adults, intelligent adults, okay, the way they scammed us, even though we do accept responsibility for actions, at least I do accept that I'm the one who took out the student loan, but part of the trust was that this school is at my place of work. I would assume my place of work would not allow an institution, an academic institution to come in that wasn't valid. And the Borrower's Defense Fund for the University of Phoenix is from September 2012 through December 2014. So if you were a university attendee, and yeah, those are really strict dates, between September 21st, 2012, okay, right around there, and then December 2014. If you attended the University of Phoenix during that time, you need to get involved with the Borrower's Defense Fund if you have not already. I know one person who's gotten her $30,000 student loan through University of Phoenix forgiven, and that was just forgiven like a month ago. So they're still very active with it. But a lot of people are looking at it like these degrees are worthless. And part of it is online, and U of P, to the University of Phoenix's defense, I will say one of the issues is that they were one of the first schools to go online in a big way, to teach students online. Now, if you heard that your state college went online, you probably wouldn't even blink an eye. But it's online, right? So in University of Phoenix's defense, they were partly battling that, okay? An online school isn't a real school, and we've all heard it, we've all been there, especially if you're our age and you were attending school at that time. But combined with that, there was also just employers that they just didn't accept it. It's an online school, it's a for-profit school. There were a lot of issues.
Well, crap. I got to make more money than I'm making now. Got to go back to school.
And she's going back to school now already with student loan debt.
I put myself back through school. Luckily, I went to Western Carolina in the mountains of North Carolina. Going there, they did take 2 years of the 4 years that I did at University of Phoenix.
And that was a big problem. She's talking about transferring the grades. A lot of reputable schools would not take any of the now defunct schools up to and including the University of Phoenix. So imagine, you work to go get a associate's degree or a bachelor's degree. You find out none of it's good. Now you want to go to a legitimate school. All right. And then you find out, oh, we may not accept any of the associate credits. And I know people that happened to. Not one associate credit was taken from Corinthian College. The state school said no, because the curriculum wasn't in alignment with state standards.
So I ended up only needing to do 2 years to get another actual bachelor's degree from a accredited brick and mortar kind of school. You guys have to realize I went to an online school pre-online times, even though we had the internet.
Exactly. And I was brick and mortar. I wasn't online. But I was brick and mortar with University of Phoenix. Okay, I was here in Tampa. So I had that, but of course University of Phoenix, one of the biggest schools, if not the first, real name school to go completely online, or a huge portion online.
No one was really doing online things too much. And everybody thought it was like hokey pokey.
Well, and unfortunately, the University of Phoenix didn't do a good job seeding its reputation of online and for-profit is not hokey pokey. Because if it had been true, then we wouldn't have the Borrower's Defense Fund for a certain class of students that attended between 2012 and 2014.
Kind of like DeVry and all those little online schools that you talk about, they're for-profit schools, and they drained me dry. So I've been trying and fighting to get my student loans, at least the ones from University of Phoenix.
She's probably not going to get those forgiven. Like I said, she only went a year or two after I did. The defense fund, like I just said, was from, I believe the specific date, because I looked up before I did this video, September 21st, 2012 through December 14th. So she is way out of the range of the borrower's defense fund. They're going to make her pay for it. I can pretty much assure you that. The other thing that people have to remember also is even with the borrower's defense fund, you may be asked to prove how you were harmed. In other words, it may not be a straight across, and I've read this in articles and stuff. It's not necessarily a straight across wipe out the board. Okay, you went to those dates, you went through those dates, you were scammed, that's the end. You may be, and I can pretty much take this to the bank, you may be required to show how did it harm you. If you were able to go to the University of Phoenix and you were making $40,000 a year, then they want you to show, your job applications, what you make now, and you doubled it. It can be denied. I only know this because I read this in some of the articles. They really are putting you putting people through the ringer, because you're talking folks in the millions. At least hundreds and hundreds of thousands. So getting it forgiven isn't necessarily cut and dry. She, like I said, she and I went at almost the same time period. She's so far out of the period that she's not going to get it forgiven. I would be willing to bet a paycheck on it. And the other thing you have to also remember, family, is, we have got to treat student loans like payday loans. Okay? People are going to school, or they're going back to school, especially the ones going back to school. Okay, let's focus, because basically she went back to school. I understand getting the first degree. You're out of high school, you're getting the first degree. Okay, let's put that one aside. But let's talk about those of us especially who went back to school for that master's or even the PhD, but more popular, the master's. The problem is, you're going there back because you say you want a pay raise. So you borrow all this money like this lady did, okay, because she wants a pay raise. But what people forget, and I will preach it 100 times to remind people, when you take on student loans, it is no different than walking into a payday loan and saying, I want an advance on my future earnings so I can live today. Payday loan people walk into a payday loan and they say, I want an advance on next week's paycheck. I want an advance on that paycheck, and I will pay you back with future paychecks. As a matter of fact, at the end of this video, about a week ago, I did a thing on payday loans. I will attach it at the end of this video. So when you get to the end, be looking for that, okay? It's about payday loans. Student loans and payday loans, I reckon, and credit cards are really all pretty much the same thing. Is it any different when you, with a student loan, say to a Sally Mae, or you say to the federal government, okay, be thinking of payday loans here, okay? I want an advance on my future earnings. I need you to give me a student loan money now. Okay, I'm going to run up this debt now. I will pay you back with future earnings. But just like a lot of people get in trouble with payday loans, what happens? The future earnings come in, but they are not accounted for that we owe people in the past. So payday loan people have to go back and they have to, recycle the loan, okay, and take out another payday advance, thereby leading them to pay 400% APR. But what do student loan people do? Student loan people go, oh, let's take this lady right here in the TikTok. Oh, you know what? I took an $85,000 advance on my future earnings. Then, you get your pay increase, you get your job promotion, and you go, oh, yay, I got a $10,000 a year promotion, if you're lucky enough to get one that big, all right? But what do you forget? You forget that you owe the student loan people not only the advance plus interest. There's a lot of crossing between payday loans and student loans. The only difference, in my opinion, student loans don't have a 400% APR, but student loans can stick around for 10, 20 years. You can wind up paying more in your student loan, what you initially borrowed, right? You can wind up paying more in interest. The two overlap each other. And I think if we would take a really critical look, you would find the only thing that changes is the name changes. Payday loan, I need money now for tomorrow. Student loan, I need money now. I'll pay you back tomorrow. They're the same thing. Credit cards, all the same. It's all the same mess, the financial mess. So she goes back to school. Now she has $100,000. And she wants to retire. Remember, she said at the beginning of the video, she wants to retire in 7, 8 years with no money.
I'm happy to pay back the ones from WCU. I'll be accountable for those. But I'm trying to get the ones from University of Phoenix, extinguished off. They've almost hit their 20 years. And
you can extinguish, unless she's in public service with this balance, she can have it extinguished off as long as she's actually paid on it, not deferment, not forbearance. She will have had to have actually paid on it for 20 years, or some of them go up to 25. Okay, we'll just assume it's 20. But now it becomes what? An IRS bill. By the way, really quickly, December 31st, 2024, yes, in 3 months approximately, all student loans that are forgiven in this time period, this 2024 calendar year, even if you are not public service, okay? I'm going to protect myself, say not all, but most, okay? Most student loans, they are forgiving them tax-free. That means you don't owe taxes on it. It's part of the, it was part of the pandemic package. A lot of people have forgotten about it. I've mentioned it a few times throughout the past few months. If you believe that you are up for getting your loans forgiven, you need to beg, plead, borrow, whatever is necessary with your borrower, that bank, to forgive it in the calendar year of 2024. Because if they forgive it in the calendar year of 2025, so January 1st, 2025, you now owe taxes on it. This does not apply to public service loan forgiveness. So breathe easy. If you're PSLF, you just like I was, you just keep on doing what you're doing. But if you are not PSLF and you are getting loans forgiven, perhaps you've reached your 20th mark this year, you need to get it forgiven in 2024 before December 31st midnight. Just letting you know. Like I said, it's part of the pandemic relief package. You don't hear about it much on the news because people forget about it. That's why this channel exists.
Just grown and grown in size.
Well, yes, and they grow and grow in size because you're not paying enough on the monthly payment to dip into the principal. But let's be honest here, okay? Little honest but tough love. She said this doesn't bother her. No one's going to take away her, what was it? She goes, no one's going to take away her fun or her game, whatever. She's going to live in Delulu land. I think people say that because it's easier than saying I really messed it up and I'm scared. Yeah, I know that's that's John on Dave Ramsey. Okay, I'm scared. It's easier to say ain't nobody gonna make me feel bad and I'm just gonna have fun. I'm retiring 7 years with no money.
So that's a little bit about the debt part of the equation. And I've been single for 14 years, so I'm not in a dual household income situation. Haven't been ever. And I've been a single mom, so I got a later start in life at 29, 30 years old.
29, 30 is not a later start in life. I didn't become a teacher until I was 38. That's not a later start in life by any means.
I was going back to school. I wasn't even graduated until 2014. So I was in my early to mid 30s.
Nothing unusual with that. Lots of people go back and get their bachelor's degree. Excuses. I'm just saying. Okay? We got to stop with the excuses, family. Oh, I got a late start in life. Oh, I became this. Oh, I became that. My case, oh, I got divorced. Oh, my income cut. We got to check ourselves on those excuses. We got to check ourselves. Not saying you weren't wronged. Not saying it wasn't unfair what happened to you. But the faster we can just accept responsibility, the faster we just simply look at our situation and accept it, the quicker we can get to the other side of the kitty ears. This is the bunny ears I'm wearing today. Razor cracking.
Wait, early 30s, because I'm 42, so I would have been 32. So that's when I actually started working like a real grown-up job in this world.
Because she was a stay-at-home mom, and that was a choice. And that leads us into another whole area about, should you be a stay-at-home? I kind of don't really discuss that because it is not an area that I'm experienced in, so I don't feel really qualified, to be totally honest.
I've gotten a real late start. I got a start because I had a narcissistic ex-husband. I left that marriage with absolutely nothing except for a household full of furniture. I did at least get that and my 2 kids. So yeah, I have $100,000 in debt and I have no retirement because I got a later start in life and I married a narcissist and I didn't invest.
Okay, I had to stop her. All I've heard is everybody else is at fault for her situation. Okay? She probably didn't have to be a stay-at-home mom. She probably chose to be. She didn't have to have kids. 2 kids? She chose to have 2 kids. She didn't have to marry that guy. She chose to marry that guy. Okay, these are all personal choices. Not saying she has any regrets over the choices. All right? Maybe she doesn't even have any regrets over the person she married. Maybe she was difficult to be married to. Who knows? Okay? I mean, heck, I was left. All right? Maybe I'm difficult to be married to. Who knows? Okay? But the bottom line, the bottom line is, I haven't heard her take any accountability. And you will know, family, on this channel, okay, even I admit that I had my faults in my marriage too. There were things I didn't realize also. But I haven't heard her take any, you know what, this was my fault. I should have made better decisions. This is just a line of basically everything bad that's happened to me. Just saying.
In myself at all during our marriage because he wanted me to be a stay-at-home mom for
and she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom
our kids, and I wanted that too because that's what I grew up with.
Oh, okay, so don't go now. You can't go now blaming your husband saying, and I wasted 10 years or whatever being a stay-at-home mom. I don't think any stay-at-home mom, if you love your kids and stuff, I don't think you would see that as a waste. In fact, it would probably be hopefully some of the greatest times of your life if you want to be a stay-at-home mom. Okay, I wouldn't make a good stay-at-home mom. I don't have kids, just for the record. But come on, lady. I mean, she needs to take a little accountability here.
And that's why I say to people on this app, invest in yourself during the time of your relationships. Create habits that will set you up for success. Find a hobby that if you needed to can turn into money. Because life is so unpredictable and you never know what's around the corner. I woke up the day that my husband texted me that he didn't want to be married anymore. I woke up
that sucks. I think a lot of us have been there one way or another. It happens. Be glad, I've been told, be glad he told you now and not when you're 65.
Day My marriage was great, I thought, and fine.
And that's also a problem. It's because you ignore it, that you ignore the warning signs. Hey, I've been there. I take accountability for that. We think it's great because we ignore the problems.
Through my entire day, taking care of the kids and doing all the mom stuff. And by the time I was going to sleep that night, I was finding out that I was getting a divorce.
Okay, it says on the screen here. This is a new clip for those who aren't looking at the screen. It says my $700,000 tuition private school education using Zoom calls and Blackboard learning, University of Phoenix. I'll tell you the people who really got it. This is a no talk video. It's just a photo video. I'll tell you the people who really got it badly, in my opinion. They're the people that paid to go to the Ivy League schools during the pandemic and couldn't even go. Because see, a lot of, and I'm not saying all of it, but a lot of that Ivy League stuff is who knows who gets to bunk with who might get to bunk with the future president, future governor, future, whatever. And what do you find yourself doing at an Ivy League, sitting in your parents' basement or your own room, typing to everybody online? I mean, that would suck. I'm serious. That would suck. And I don't know how Harvard and the other Ivy League schools dealt with it, but man. So $70,000 to sit at Zoom call and look at Blackboard learning. Folks, here's another thing. Bottom line, a bachelor's degree should not cost you that much money. 2 years at community college, 2 years state. How many times do we have to tell you guys that? It is not worth the 4 years in college if there is no way for you to pay it off, or you have no parents who can assist you, and then to the parents without putting their retirement and their needs at risk.
Tell me why I pay $30,000 for college, right? Tuition. What do you mean I have to pay to access homework? Where is the money go? Where is tuition going? Because literally at the beginning of every semester, I have to set aside like $300 for access codes and homework.
I have to be honest, and now again, I'm 57. I'm a little bit out of school. I haven't been in school since I got my master's degree in 2006, okay, from the University of South Florida for teaching. I had no idea that kids are having, I know they're not kids, but bear with me, okay? I had no idea that these students were also paying a fee to access your homework. If anybody knows anything or can add anything about it, can you stick it in the comments? Because I've never heard of it. I'm not even sure what the program is. Are you having to pay to access your homework? Throw it in the comments if you are. I'd never heard of it. This is how, as we get generationally further apart from being in school, like I haven't been in school, for over 20 years. I had no idea. I always assumed your access to homework. I mean, I know there's a lot of online stuff, of course. I'm a teacher, but paying in addition to your books, in addition to your tuition, I'd never heard of it.
So I have to pay to take the class, and I have to pay for the textbook and an access code.
This is what happens when college degrees don't have high standards and they don't actually teach you something. When it's just a piece of paper saying you completed 4 years of some random schooling. You get these fake universities that sell you a degree that you can take in 36 seconds, teach you nothing, give you no skills, take your money, but then give you a diploma saying you have a degree. These are not uncommon.
What do you know what's sad? Is a school like the University of Phoenix, even though this video is not necessarily on the University of Phoenix, they've just earned their reputation so well. Like I said, it is my alma mater, and it kind of hurts. The University of Phoenix had a chance to be an outstanding model of both for-profit and online and reputable. In other words, the people at the top, it was like a once in a lifetime opportunity to say, you know what? Yes, we're going to be a for-profit. We're going to be online, but we are going to be thoroughly endorsed, accredited by these different industries that we have degrees in. And instead, it all got thrown into spaghetti. Why? So a few fat cats at the top could make money. I mean, to me, it was just like my own freaking school that I got my master's in organizational management, and let's not even go there, family, okay? Don't even go there, all right? It was a master's in organizational management. Have you ever managed anything? No. Whatever, okay? But that's called taking an opportunity and just blowing it. Because in the end, they proved that for profit, that's the bigger deal. It wasn't about the students, and it never was. So I believe University of Phoenix, and rightfully so, has harmed its reputation to the point that even though they are still in business, they are still accredited, I would not recommend anyone ever go there. And it's not to the instructors that taught there. They were excellent, excellent people. It's the business model with the fat cats at the top. I would not send anyone there. I would not recommend it.
Say when someone says you're not my cup of tea. I drink coffee anyway.
If you or anybody that you know went to Full Sail University, please send them this video. I've been debating.
She says it kind of fast. It's called Full Sail, SAIL University. I have to be honest, I'd never heard of them, and I looked them up. Some of these schools I've never heard of. Let's hear this young lady out.
Making this video for a while now because I've been looking into my options. I went to Full Sail University from 2017 until 2019. I graduated salutatorian. I took out $90,000 of loans with Sally Mae by myself to pay for my school.
Once again, these for-profit schools, $90,000. I understand I had my 85. At least I had 2 master's degrees. But 90,000 bachelors.
My final semester, they told me that my grades were so good that I qualified to not have to pay for the last $13,000. They told me, it was a phone conversation. I asked, is this going to be an additional loan? They told me, no, it's a government grant. You will not have to pay it back. Those are the words they said to me verbatim. Recently, I did a credit check on myself. Turns out I don't just have my 2 Sally Mae loans. I have 8 total student loans, 6 of which Full Sail University took out in my name with Ed Financial and never told me. It's an additional $35,000, and I know it's Full Sail because the last 2 are the perfect match for the $13,000 they said I was going to owe.
Because they know you're not going to legally be able to fight it. These students don't have the money. Who are you going to hire to go fight this?
One of them is $6,000 plus some change. The other is $7,000 plus some change. It perfectly equals that last payment that they told me I wasn't going to have to pay, that they promised me was a government grant. Thank God there's been the government forbodance thing on loans that I haven't had to pay those $35,000 left. But now I'm screwed. They start back up in a couple weeks in September. I don't know the payment structure for these loans because I didn't make them. And
I'm wondering if Full Sail by any chance is on a list of scammy schools. Oh, geez. Remember, the on-ramp period ended October 1st. The on-ramp period ended, which means your student loans now count against your credit report for late payment, missed payments, yada, yada.
it's taken me over a month to get Ed Financial to give me any information because I don't have the loan numbers. I don't have the paperwork. I don't have anything to do with these loans. They had to look them up via my social security number, which...
And God help her if the school closes down fully and there are no records. This is why, family, you've got to keep every single receipt, every snapshot the screens. Until my student loan was forgiven, I snapshot the screens showing payments because your student loans are oftentimes transferred to other companies. Oh, gee, we don't have a record of your student loan. Sue us.
Full Sail had from all of my paperwork. I've been in touch with an attorney who said that there's rumors that Full Sail has been doing this for years because they are a for-profit school. If you know anybody that went to Full Sail University, please send them this video and tell them to do a credit check on themselves. Do not trust Full Sail when they tell you you don't owe anything. I went and did my loans in full. I wasn't going to owe anything to Full Sail. I was going to owe everything to Sally Mae.
And the problem is, it's okay, you can hire an attorney, but of course they have to be paid. So you have to balance how much is the attorney and stress going to cost versus just dealing with the debt. And now you hope that they're part of, some sort of lawsuit settlement. Folks, it sucks. It sucks all the way around. I get it. I've been there. I totally feel you. I totally understand. It blows. And yes, we take ownership. Yes, we take responsibility. But as I've said in other videos, somebody other than just you may be jumping off the cliff, but there's somebody also pushing you off simultaneously.
And they still took $35,000 of extra loans in my name and didn't tell me. And now I'm screwed.
My mom was a literal PhD, the highest degree they can achieve. Like, she went countless nights and days working, barely even seeing us as a kid. She finally achieved her PhD. I said, Mom, was it all worth it? She literally told me in my days, no, it was not worth it.
My parents have PhDs, okay? My step-parents, my dad has a PhD. My stepmom is a PhD. My mother is a double master's. My stepfather was accepted into, my late stepfather was stepped into the PhD program. I have a double master's. My grandmother was Salt Lake City Teacher of the Year, yada, yada. I got the whole list, right? The thing that people have to remember with the PhD is a research degree. All right. Coming up probably sometime this week, I am going to be doing an article on a young lady who got a PhD and it did not pay off. So I will discuss that further. But in general, what people need to be thinking about is a PhD is a research degree. And I think a lot of people have misconceptions as to what that is. I'm not going to bring it up now, but look for it. And then I'll address it this week. It'll be an article that I will upload. I will talk about her experience getting a PhD and how it did not work out. So be looking for that.
Because I work above and beyond, no matter what I do, uncapped at a certain amount in terms of my income. I work above and beyond everyone else, and what they only do is just give me a small reward. And that was the day I knew I did not want to go to college, because why would I spend 50, 60, 70 grand a year at literally 18 years old, not knowing what I wholeheartedly want to do, and not even be guaranteed a job? And if I am guaranteed a job like that, I'm going to make 50 grand a year and pay off that debt for the next, like, who knows how long.
I gotta be honest, hand it to him. He's been given some solid advice. If he's not been given the solid advice, but it sounds like he has, probably through his mom. But he's also observing what's happening. Yeah, and some of these schools, guys, I mean, come on, some of these schools, 60, 70,000 a year, and it's a 4-year program. I just don't find many careers that would be worth it. And remember, folks, if you want to go into public service like teaching, it doesn't matter what school you go to. You need the state certificate. And the state certificate couldn't care less if you paid $60,000 for your bachelor's, or if you went to a community college for 2 years and then you went to an in-state state school for 2 years. Okay? When you're talking things that need certifications, okay, they don't care what school you go to, as long as the degree is legitimate. So he's been given some good advice, probably through his mom and combined with observation.
That's why so many young people nowadays are saying screw school and going all in while they're young and have the most energy, because that's when they can take the most risk. When you're like 40, 50 years old and you're working a job, you can't just drop everything that you had and go all in on like a freaking salsa, bro. You have a family to feed. At like 18 and in your 20s, that's when you can actually take the most risk, go all in, and do everything that you can to potentially find out what you truly want to do and set yourself up for life.
I can't disagree with what he's saying. I really can't. The only thing I would caution is, okay, yes, you can take risks. At your younger age, you can obviously do things that, when you get older, physically, financially, just time-wise. But I would still caution, have a plan. I mean, just, hey, we're going to go blow our, whatever money we've got, and we're going to go on a trip around the world, then we're going to come back poor and live in a van. I would just say, yes, you can do things, and you can kind of throw caution to the wind to a certain extent, but there should still be some sort of plan. I hope that makes sense.
Play your cards right.
If you are a freshman going to college this fall, please avoid this scam. You first get on campus, they're going to tell you that you need to do your placement test.
Okay, before we get into this gal, I think we have one more after her. Now, because of their age, you guys know, I take, hold on, where's my fan? Because of their age, on the TikToks, I take a kinder, softer, gentler side on the young people. Okay? She's one of the young people. She calls what you're going to hear about a scam, and that's about how they place people in college. And as a teacher in her 19th year, okay, and also very experienced at attending colleges, I think she's using the wrong word. I don't see what you're going to see. Just a minute. I don't think this is a scam. Matter of fact, I'll be honest, it's not a scam. It feels like a scam because the information that they've been given or not given isn't quite accurate. But this is actually not a scam, and it goes on in the best and most reputable schools. I would not call this a scam. I'll talk you more through it as she talks on.
Please listen, okay? What they're basically going to tell you is go in there, don't stress too much, just knock it out and keep it pushing. That is absolutely not true. I need you to go in there and take it absolutely serious, because what they don't tell you is whatever score you get determines where you fall in line as far as placing you for classes.
What she's talking about, it sounded like she skipped a little bit there, okay? What she's talking about is when you go to college and you take a placement test to see what level you're going to be in any certain academic area, like whether it be for English or math. Are you math 1, 2, 3? Are you English 1, 2, 3? Okay, she's talking about the placement test that people have to take before they can put them into a class. My placement test, surprise, surprise, I aced the English portion. And what am I today? An English instructor, okay? That's the writing stuff. I know people think it's about reading English books. It's not. It's about the writing and stuff like that. I placed really, really high. So I was able to be in sort of a more advanced placement class. Whereas in math, I would have been so low that they would have told me to go back to high school and relearn everything. And I'm not kidding.
Now hold on and listen. Okay, so let's just say in college you have to take 3 English classes. I'm not saying that you do, but let's just say it starts at English 101, English 102, and English 103. If you score lower than what a person in English 101 would normally test at, you're not going to English 101. They're actually putting you in, like, I don't want to call it remediate or intermediate course.
You're actually in remedial classes. And I've actually discussed this with parents and students. Yes. If you, because I've discussed it with parents who have kids, because remember, I've been teaching for 19 years. I now teach kids that I taught, I teach their kids now. Okay. I've had a few of those. So what I tell them is, your child's going to take a test. And if they do not score the minimum of what it takes to be in the lowest level English class, okay, because that's my area is English, then they're probably going to be required to take remedial classes to get their level up. And they do this because if they were to put you in a level that you are absolutely not ready for, guess what's going to happen? You're going to flunk out. You're going to flunk out of that class.
You're probably like, well, where's the scam? The scam is making you think that these particular pre-tests are not that serious, so that you go in there and you basically have to take extra courses. Okay.
There is no scam. Okay, and this again, I'm putting on the soft bunny paws. Okay, as soft as I can. All right. Just because a student goes in and takes a test and doesn't choose to take the test as seriously as they should, never mind that they are now entering collegiate, the college level, that's not on the school, that's on the student. Okay. This is in the best universities, it's in the best state colleges, it's everywhere. It's not a scam because you don't place high enough to be in the lowest level class for that particular subject matter. That is not a scam. Now, I can understand it might feel like a scam because you're thinking, oh, great, I'm just going to take this test and I can just kind of, baloney my way through it. And you're not, maybe they don't tell you up front, you're going to, these classes are going to cost you money. But guess what? You're now an 18-year-old adult. Okay? They don't take you by the hand like that, young people. They don't. You're not in middle school. Okay, you're not even in high school. You're in college now. Every test that's put in front of you should be taken seriously. Anytime you are asked to put your name on a dotted line that deals with a contract, it should be taken seriously. It does not make it a scam because the student chose not to take the test seriously. They're not mommy and daddy. College, okay? Colleges are not mommy and daddy. They're not going to come up to you and say, honey, it's really important now that you get a good night's rest, you eat breakfast, and you really take this test. Well, they're not going to do that. You're a college student, all right?
Do not get scammed into doing that. You know exactly what to do. You didn't make it into that school because you were just about good enough. You made it in there because you were good enough. Go test like you.
Not true. Not necessarily true. We could go really deep in there, okay? But I'm not going to go that deep, all right? Because I don't feel like it. And we're pushing 45 minutes on this. Not that really time really doesn't matter to me so much. But she says here, trust me, most of y'all, hey, I'm just going to skip over that. Most of y'all could actually pass the test if you took it seriously. But oftentimes they make it late in the day on a popping day, tell you it's no biggie, so you are distracted. No. First off, half of that doesn't really make sense to me, but I get what she's saying overall. If that is indicative of what people are doing, no, you do not meet entry-level writing English. When you become an adult, you have to start taking on personal accountability. You can't say, oh, the test was too late in the day and what's the word here? It was on a popping day. What is a popping day? I'm trying, you guys. I'm trying. I'm trying. I got the softest bunny ears on right now, okay?
You are good enough. Take them serious, okay?
Hey, you may not have been good enough in that category. And sometimes you just have to admit that. It's my weak spot. I suck at math and I suck at science. I am so bad at math and science. I would not qualify to sit in a middle school science class. You would have to take me back to elementary. And I'm being absolutely serious. I would not qualify. You could not put me in a middle school science class, show me some nuclei, because I don't even know how to spell it. I just didn't excel. But put me in a writing class, to the top.
Love you, bye.
College next year is supposed to be my
This is the last one.
senior year, supposed to be. And I just got off a meeting with my advisor who just now today, told me that I didn't have enough credits to graduate next year. What? All of these meetings, all of these questions that I had for you, all of these making sure that I'm on track, making sure I'm good, making sure I'm this, making sure I have enough credits. And y'all lying in my face saying, oh my God, you're on time. Oh my God, yeah, your grades are good. Yeah, you're on track. You're moving forward. It's going to be great. You're going to graduate in time. Just to find out 2 weeks going into summer of my senior year that I don't have enough credits. College is a scam. It's a scam. Like, this is the type of things that we need to replace computers with, because advisors are crazy. What do you mean I don't have enough credits? What have I been doing for 3 years now? College is a scam.
All right. Folks, this has been fun. I hope you've learned something. I continue to learn stuff. And again, put in the comments if you, are you paying to see, to get access to your homework? I don't know anything about that. Okay. So if anybody can give me some enlightenment on that, maybe you or your kids, if you have kids in college, also be looking for the payday loan. I will attach it at the end of this video, so you'll want to watch that. And also I will do a story later on this week about the PhD and the problems that this young lady is having. Basically, she can't get a job with a PhD. But there are things that I know, but young people do not. I think you'll like that article. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe. People, my time is up. And so is yours. Good night, everyone.